Well, hello there. Good morning. I think that light might be a little better, but we might even be able to improve it more. How are you guys today? I am feeling mighty fine, although I could have gotten some more sleep. I was up a little late last night. Um, I have this new job. I'll tell you all about it. But often it has me up late. So, what if we did this? Ooh, I kind of like that. Yeah, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that. So, so, yeah. Well, it's really good to be back doing this. I tell you what, I really missed doing this. I needed a break. I needed a break. And now I've had that. Now I have had that. It seems like you have a new dog, Jane, named Willie. What kind of dog do you got? That's pretty exciting, huh? Pretty exciting, huh? Couple things I want to talk about today, updates and whatnot. I can generally understand what you're trying to say, Jane. No sweat. I'm pretty good at the guess and the check. But yeah, I have this new job. You guys have are you familiar with rickshaws? Which is like, I mean, I guess I would think of it in like an Eastern country or like an Asian country where there's like a guy carrying like he's like running down the street with like a cart behind him that carries people. It's like a taxi kind of, right? I do that with a bicycle that has a motor on it. So I like ride a bike around and give people taxi rides downtown. Often I'll do it um, like for the loadout or the pardon me, the let out of a concert or like a hockey game or the Jazz, our basketball team. And it is the best side gig of all time. Sometimes I don't make any money and I'm out there for, an hour and a half. Sometimes I make like $100, sometimes I make 20, 50. You never know, right? It's kind of a gamble. But if I'm not doing anything on a Friday or Saturday night, it's worth going down there and spending an hour or two seeing if I can get some rides. It's quite lucrative and it's a lot of fun. A bunch of my friends have been doing it for, I don't know, maybe as long as I've known Quentin and James, and they've been trying to get me into it for the same amount of time. Finally, I gave it a shot. I gave it a chance earlier this year, and I love it. It is so much fun. A buddy of ours owns like 3 cabs. James and Quentin own their own, so maybe one day I'll own one, but right now I rent from our friend Brian, and, I just give him a cut, right? A percentage of whatever I make, I throw him. But, yeah, man, coolest side gig ever. Super fun, meeting people. The cab has like a Bluetooth speaker system, so I can like listen to music and ride my bike around. It's quite fun. Been enjoying it. Yellow Lab adopted 8 years. Wow, super smart dog. Super duper smart dog. Jane says we have those in downtown Charleston, and tourists and the drivers love it. It's the best. The locals love it too. We have regulars that'll come back, or like sometimes they'll want our phone number so they can call us for an event or something, so we can come pedicab their event. It's a fun thing. It's definitely a fun thing. Smarter than me so far, haha. That's funny. I don't believe that for a second, but I do believe that he's keeping you on your toes. Not surprised at that at all. Um, Also, what name do I prefer? You can call me Calhoun. You can call me Michael. Michael's my name. Calhoun's also my name. Either or. If I as long as I know you're speaking to me, I don't really have a preference on the YouTubes. If we were in person, I would tell you to call me Michael. And if you were my family, I would tell you to call me whatever you want. My dad enjoys calling me Calhoun, and I enjoy it as well. I'm not opposed to it. That's like my art. That's our thing, right? When I was a kid, that was my nickname, and he still, to this day, will predominantly call me Calhoun, over anything, which does make you feel a little special. But on that work note, I wanted to talk about some new things, some other new things that I've been thinking about in acting. Um, Yesterday, I put in a bunch of applications uh, at touring companies, companies that, like, if John Mayer goes on tour, he has a touring company that handles all of his tour, right? I would like to go on tour. I don't care who it's with. I don't care what it's with, but I would like to go on tour and do the stagehand stuff that I do. It's very lucrative. I'll get to travel, and I won't have a whole lot of time to just screw around and spend money. So the way I'm thinking about it, the way I look at it, the reason it's enticing to me is because I could go on tour for a couple months, 6 months, maybe, I don't know, a range of time. And when I come home, I would have money in the bank. I wouldn't be living check to check anymore, right? I would have a little bit of cushion. Um, and beyond that, in the same vein of thought, um, I'm kind of barely making it. I'm not complaining at all. Like, I'm very happy, but I would like to have an excess, right? I'd like to have more than I need. Um, Everything we need is provided, right? Everything we need is on this planet. There are definitely people trying to sell it to us, which kind of breaks the game. But there's I always have what I need, right? I would like to have a little more than that. I would like to have a little playroom. So maybe I could go out on a date or something. Maybe I could make an investment, or maybe I could, I don't know, just make meaningful changes in my life that require financial success, right? So in that vein of thought, well, I'll tell you about my Christmas here in just a second. That's on my list. Um, I think I'm going to go back to the electrical union. When I say back, I think I'm going to go back to being an electrician. Today, I'm going to make another resume. Yesterday, I made one for the touring thing. Today, I'm going to make a resume specifically for the electricians union. One of my oldest friends got into that. I want to say like a year and a half ago, and he's excelling. He's killing it. He keeps sending me photos of all these things he's building and wiring, and looks great. They have some huge projects coming up for data centers in the state. And a data center is like just a huge building full of electrical stuff, right? It's an electrician's dream job. So I think I'm gonna set that up today. And if that happens, what what this is going to look like is I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go work a really hard job for like 10 hours, and then maybe we'll even do an afternoon show. I'm not going to commit to that, but that would be even more lucrative than the tour thing, and it wouldn't take me out of my comfort zone, right? I could do it. I could still live here, which would be really cool. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. Christmas was great. Thank you for asking, Cindy. I hope you guys had a great holiday as well. So I went down to Texas. I don't know if we've talked about this before. I feel like we may have, but Tommy's my my blood. I think we have talked about this once or twice. Um, but I went to Texas to visit my birth father, and I haven't seen that side of the family in 8 years or something like that. I have a 10-year-old sister that I haven't seen since she was two, and she is just like me. She's so cute. It's wonderful. I'm very grateful I got to spend that time with them. She's just a ball of energy, super artsy, super creative, super funny. Um, we watched all kinds of movies and went to church and did all kinds of stuff. Church was uncomfortable for me, but I did it because family time is important to me. So I, spent as much time as I possibly could with them while I was out there. That's something that they do. So, and I usually go to church for Christmas anyways. So with some part of the family at least. An ex-brother-in-law of mine did lighting on the road. He enjoyed it, but was not a clean lifestyle for him. Yeah, there's definitely in any sort of construction like that, like hard construction, there's always use. There's always, I mean, it ranges, right, from this to that, company to company, environment to environment, but there's definitely it's something you gotta watch out for. And I have a good head on my shoulders, thankfully. Speaking of that, I decided to quit smoking weed 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit less than that. Basically, when I went to Texas, I stopped. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but I was an avid THC consumer, and which is great. I don't tell anyone how to live their life, but on the other side of it now, I have so much motivation, so much ambition, which was my chief complaint in life prior to making that decision was my lack of motivation and ambition, right? In fact, I think I owe starting this show again to that. Otherwise, I might not have ever been motivated enough to get up. I get up at 6 6 a.m. every day, um, regardless of what's going on, even if I have nothing to do. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be doing this now, right? But even if it's my day off, I'm getting up early, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm getting ready to go, making some coffee, and it feels phenomenal. It feels phenomenal. And at the end of the day, I don't have trouble sleeping because I've been awake for so friggin' long, right? Which is really cool. Which is really, really cool. Um, but yeah, my grandpa on my dad's side, the one in Texas that we were just talking about, has cancer. And we were really, really close once upon a time. And, like I said, I haven't seen them in 8 years, 8+ years. But I went to see him, and I think it's his left bicep is like this big. It's just, well, he tore his bicep at work, like off the bone. So it like bunched up. And when you're an old man, this is what he told me. He said, when you're an old man, they don't just fix that, right? If you're a young man, they reattach it or whatever. But he said because of his age and the circumstances, he didn't want to, get surgery, or they didn't want to do surgery on him, something of that nature. But it started to swell and grow and grow. And turns out it's cancer. He just finished chemotherapy and he starts radiation, I think, next week. So pray for him, please. Or, what did we used to say? I forget. Let's get ones in the chat for my grandpappy. We call him Paul Paul. Paul Paul. Love that guy. He's a good man. He's a really good man. If I grow up to be half the man that he is, I'll be sitting pretty. I'll be doing well. But we spent a whole day together, hung out. We went and had breakfast, watched some TV. He showed me all his toys. He's got some cool toys. But it was really good to see him as well. In my opinion, 2 weeks is too long to do anything, but I think we needed those 2 weeks in this particular circumstance. It's been so long, right? Have a good therapy session, Cindy. We'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you soon. All right. Much love. And Jane, I think he's going to be all right. Jane says, sounds like this decision's working out well for you, and sorry to learn about your grandpa. He's in my prayers. Yeah, I think he's going to be all right. Um, I, I'm regurgitating information, but they say that you either do that you don't handle the chemo well or you don't handle the radiation well. And I wasn't there for the whole thing, but he seemed to handle the chemo pretty well. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that he also handles the radiation well. We'll see. We will see. We will see. We will see. But I'm pulling for him. I'm definitely pulling for him. He's the same awesome dude he always was. So it's not like the treatment is robbing him of his personality, or like, he seemed to be doing well, which is nice, which is very nice. What else can I say about that trip? Oh, I may have mentioned this yesterday. I went to work with my dad for about a week, and we were working on a house leveling job on the Trinity River. Uh, there's a house, and it was sitting on the ground, right? Like a normal house does. Well, when it floods, and they get a lot of floods down there in the bay, um, that house is going to be half underwater. So I think they call it floodplain code or something of that nature. We were contracted to raise the house 6 feet into the air. So when we're done, we'll be able to walk under the house. But anyways, when we started the job, it was on the ground. So we they this crew had, I don't know, 50 something hydraulic jacks, and we set them up, all down the line on the edge of the house, and then a bunch of guys man the jacks, and all together, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. We all like raise the house up together, just a couple inches, right? And then we move, I don't know, a few feet up. There's another line of jacks, and we raise it inch by inch in till we get to the end, right? We move back, do the same thing. When the jacks max out, you can only raise so much. We stack cinder blocks and a dunnage, which is gigantic, heavy wood blocks, right? You stack those up, release the pressure on the jack, the house sits down on that, right? So now we've raised it. I don't know. I think the cinder blocks were 18 inches deep. So we've raised it 18 inches, right? We release the pressure on the jacks. It's sitting on the cinder blocks or the dunnage. And then we kind of build a little platform with wood and cinder blocks for the jack to sit on. So we raise the jack up a little bit and just repeat, rinse and repeat, just one after the other, just inch by inch. The edge further in, further in, further in. And at the beginning of the job, these guys were digging space out in the dirt under the house so that they could like lay down and set the jack up under this house, right? By the end of it, we were like crouched. We could almost, it was almost comfortable in there. And I got all of it on video. I got a bunch of photos. And my dad's actually going to continue because we didn't finish the job by the time I had to come home. So he's going to finish taking videos and pictures and send them to me so I can make a video about how to raise a house 6 feet in the air, which I think is going to be a fun creative project. I don't know. I don't have any ambitions for that video other than just making it, right? Seeing what I can do with the tools at my disposal, right? With my knowledge. But I thought that was a really cool experience. I had never seen anything like that. It blew my mind. I was like, wow, what if, I mean, it's interesting. You have to be very aware of, like I said, there's a ton of jacks, right? They all need to be flat. If one of them's a little tilted and it's pushing this way, eventually the house is going to tilt and slide off of what we have. And obviously, you don't want that, right? Also, you don't want to raise one side too much because then you end up like the house flexes, you'll break windows, you'll detach an awning from the porch or something, right? So it's all very steady and slow process. They say slow and steady wins the race, right? Super cool. Very exciting to watch. And don't even get me started on the dogs. There were so many dogs on this job site. I don't know if they were strays or if they had homes, but beautiful dogs. I took a bunch of pictures of the dogs too. Every day we'd show up and the dogs would come up wagging their tails and say hello. The neighborhood pups. Jenna Aunt Neen, hello, hello. Just got a notification. Best Thursday present ever. I've been thinking about you often. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. I'm super stoked to be back. I needed a little break and I took quite a bit of a break. Yesterday I was thinking it had been like 2 years, but it's only been a little over a year. Um, but I definitely needed some time and I feel much better now. They are beginning to raise some of the old historic homes downtown, says Jane, because of our increased tidal flooding. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that before. Like I've seen houses on stilts, right? I've seen houses that are on poles and whatnot and blocks, but I've never seen the process of taking one that is on the ground and lifting it up. Like I didn't know you could do that. I had no idea you could do that. I think it's pretty sweet. I think it's pretty sweet. How have you been, Jen Otneen? What's new? Mary makes originals. Hello, hello. Yes, yes. This is a great way to start the day. I tell you what, this is a great way. Although my microphone's in front of my screen and I can't see. All right, we talked about work. We talked about the dads. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about is my friends. I I remember you guys have probably heard me complain about it before, but in Tucson, it was hard for me to connect with people and like make new friends because I had such good friends out here, or at least in my mind, right? Since moving back, I find that much less important. Like when I did first move back to Utah, I spent a lot of time with my friends. I spent a ton of time with my friends. But the more I did, the more I realized that that's not really what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to be investing in myself. I wanted to be, you know, self-discovering. Like, what am I going to be doing? Right? What am I doing? What am I here for? Not to say there's anything wrong with my friends, but it seemed so important when I was in Tucson, and now that I'm here, it seems almost irrelevant. That's a weird feeling. It's a weird realization. I'm grateful to have my friends, but I don't feel the same way that I did. I don't feel the same. I don't feel how I thought I would, I guess, you know? I recognized your photo, Mary. I recognized your face, and it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. But yeah, how things change. How things change, right? It's wild. And I'm grateful for the change. If everything was always the same, it would be boring. So it's cool. It's fine. It's definitely fine. We talked about quitting THC a little bit, but yeah, my motivation and ambition is at an all-time high, and that's something I've been sorely lacking for a very long time. I'm very grateful for that. In light of that decision and that change in my life, I've been having dreams again, vivid dreams. I'm an avid dreamer, and when I smoke, I don't have dreams. So I want to talk about one dream in particular, if you guys will indulge me. I had a dream while I was in Texas that me and some people, I didn't really recognize them. Like they felt familiar, but I can't see their faces now, right? We broke into this place and then we're like shredding evidence. We were like taking all these paper files and like shredding them, just putting all this paper through a shredding device. In my head, it felt like we were shredding evidence, right? And then the folks showed up and we escaped, right? We got out of there. And then same dream switch to I was in I was in like a school or a mall. It was hard to tell, but I think it was a school though because I was seeking access to a certain class, to like taking a class, right? Or like seeking access to like an area of knowledge. And this person told me that in order to do that, I need to ask permission from so and so. And they handed me a paper list with a bunch of names and phone numbers and emails on it. And they were like, find that name on here. I went down the whole list and I didn't see the name. There was a specific name and I don't remember what it is because I don't think the name was important, but I couldn't find the name on the list. So I went back to this person. I said, hey, I can't see that name on here. Will you point it out to me? And they said, I can't do that. And I looked back and the list turned into like this gilded collar of like diamonds and gold on like a gold chain. Like it was weird. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. And then I woke up and I want to talk about that. Very into dreams and whether or not, I mean, they could possibly mean something, right? And whether or not they do, I think it's fun to think about maybe what my subconscious is trying to tell me. So in the beginning, I'm shredding evidence, right? I thought about this a lot. I think that um, without giving context, I had other dreams previous to this one leading up to it that kind of helped me think this, but I think the evidence was like demons from my past that are still affecting my life today, right? And I think the act of shredding them is like letting it go, right? Like this doesn't define me. This isn't who I am, right? These are just experiences that I've had, right? And the collar thing, the gilded diamond collar, was definitely harder, I think, to wrap my brain around. But the conclusion that I came to, if that were to mean something, I'm seeking knowledge, right? I'm seeking something. Um, and I think the caller is indicative of me looking for the wrong thing, looking in the wrong place, or going about my search for knowledge in the wrong way. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Because little backstory or little context from my heart, how I feel. I don't ever want to be a slave to anyone. I'm not going to wear a collar. You know what I mean? No one's going to put me on a leash. And that's a weird thing to say, but that's what that in the dream. That's what that made me feel. I was like, ugh, gross. I'm not. I don't want to wear this, right? But I think maybe even it means the way that I'm looking at servitude is wrong, right? Because being of service is a great boon. Being of service is one of the ways that we reset our brain chemistry. Being of service is one of the ways we get through tough times when our brain's not doing what it needs to be doing, right? When our reward system isn't working properly, right? Being of service helps that, right? It releases the endorphins all by itself because you're doing something that's inherently good, right? Inherently selfless, being of service. So maybe whether I'm looking in the wrong place for whatever I'm looking for, whether I'm looking for the seeking the wrong things, whether I'm looking at the search itself improperly, or whether I'm looking at service improperly. I think they all could be true, or maybe none of them are true, right? But just fun things to think about. If I'm going to have wild, vivid dreams, I might as well turn them into some sort of lesson or learning experience, or, let them be more than a little vacation at night, right? Catching up on chat. 2025 was weird, says Jen. I lost a lot of friends and mentors last summer, but I also gained a lot of joy. The dichotomy of the last 6 months was wild. Life is not without its ironies, and sometimes the ironies take center stage, which doesn't always feel good, but I always get a little endorphin kick from realizing symmetries and similarities and parallels in life. Like deja vu, kind of, right? I'm glad you're doing well. I'm very glad you're doing well, Jen. And you're too kind, Mary. You're far too kind. Deep and interesting. You're telling me. I will report back with more dreams. I have a lot of them now, and they all seem to be a little willy wonky. Not without going into too much detail. The night before that dream and the night before that, so like 2 nights preceding. One of the dreams I was running. Well, I think I had two nights in a row I was running from something or someone or people or whatever I was running. And then the night before I had this dream we just talked about, I was confronting someone. Um, so I think that's progress, right? Let's just say it's my past. I'm running from my past. I'm confronting my past. I'm shredding the evidence, right? I'm letting it go. This isn't me. This doesn't define me, right? Interesting. At least that's how I choose to look at it. Jen says, I'm taking control of what I can and moving forward. Sometimes that's all we can do. It's all we can do. Here, one second. I'll blow my candles out. I might start keeping a dream journal, but if I do, my dreams might become less restful. That's my fear, at least. I guess if my past isn't haunting me, that shouldn't happen. Prior, once upon a time, I kept a dream journal, and uh, my dreams got more and more disturbing, like deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. But it was all related to like things, unresolved feelings inside of me. So maybe we could try that again and see what happens. A dream journal is when you wake up and write down your dream. You have to do it immediately though, otherwise you forget. Jen says dreams can be enlightening and help you clarify, help give you clarity and confusion about your life and your path. I have frequent dreams and visions. I've always feared my path. I've always feared what my purpose is, and without even knowing what it is. But I think I can safely put that behind me. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is this girl. Um, I don't know if I probably talked about her a little bit when last we spoke. But when I was living in Tucson, and I would come visit Utah, there was a particular girl that I would come visit. I guess you could say that we were dating, right? Kind of a long distance, not not exclusive kind of thing, right? When I first moved back to Utah, we got together like once or twice, and that's all it took for me to realize that she's never going to give me what I want, and that was a little hard, but I'm really grateful that I realized that because what am I doing? Spinning my wheels? You know what I mean? It was fun for a while, but I don't know. Yeah, you can't. I think it's important to be realistic about these things, right? Who someone is and what they're offering, right? And what this beautiful soul was offering me is not what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? But that was a hard thing to get through. Um, I have I have a hard time with women in general, I think, but maybe that can change. I think I'm in a better position than ever. And I'm definitely not, I always say this, I'm obviously a huge motivator in my life, right? But I don't think that I'm looking for anything in particular. I think that's the key as well. One day someone's going to come along that's just going to be super great. Has yet to happen. I don't know why I wanted to talk about that. Maybe because it was on my heart, and it's kind of a conclusion of a story, or something that we've talked about previous. But when I moved back here, I definitely thought that that was going to work out differently. And I don't know how I got these crazy ideas in my head, but it wasn't real. It was a fantasy, which is fine. A boy can dream. A boy can dream. Mary says it's hard to set boundaries and fight for what you deserve, let alone think you deserve anything wonderful sometimes. I get that totally. Thanks for saying that. Right on right on the nose there, for sure. And I guess also on the topic of girls, the one big ex-girlfriend that we used to talk about a lot, she wished me a happy new year and then proceeded to like try to start a fight about all kinds of stuff. I was like, I'm just gonna actually block you. It's terrible. I don't know why she did that. Hopefully everything's going all right for her. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today, y'all. I got through my list pretty quick there. It's really good to be back. It's really good to see all of you. I don't think I'm gonna have a like, all right, this stream's gonna be this long and it's gonna be that every day. I think we're gonna play it by ear. I don't think I'm gonna conform to previous, what's the right way to say that? Boundaries, previous constraints or like rules. I think that we've had for the show. I think that we're gonna turn a new leaf. We're gonna play this by ear. This is my show now, right? Um, yeah, we're just gonna feel it out. It's gonna be a little bit looser. It's not always gonna be the same amount of time. I would like to have it at the same time, but as we figure out what the best time is, we're gonna change it slightly, right? So I think we're gonna be a little more flexible. We're going to have a little bit more fun with it. I'm not going to put too much pressure or stress on myself to do things a certain way, right? I'm going to do what I feel. As Jane was saying about her dog in the beginning of the stream, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to do it when I want to do it. To quote Willie the dog. Jane says, "You do you, and we're here for you." Well, I appreciate you very much, Jane. Jen says, I just celebrated my 21st wedding anniversary right before Christmas. Wowie zowie. That's a big deal. That's a long time. They don't make it like that anymore, in my opinion. That's really cool. Morning cup of coffee has not been the same without you. That's so sweet, Mary. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I think that also on the note of this show being a little different, I'm going to, I think that we're going to treat this like just a blog. I'm just going to kind of share what's on my mind, share what I'm going through, share ideas that I'm having. Now that I'm ambitious and motivated, my creative juices are flowing. So I don't think we're going to run out of things to talk about. Of course, I'm still on my sobriety journey, right? We can always talk about that. If anyone's ever struggling, we can always talk about that. I may not bring it up like organically every day, right? Maybe I will. But just know I'm never opposed to doing real work, right? Having the hard conversation. I yeah, I just we're gonna figure it out. It'll be fun. It'll be good. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I think I'm gonna call it here. If there's any burning desires in the room, if there's anything y'all want to talk about, we can do that. I'll give you a sec. Um, but otherwise, I think I'm gonna go make some sausage and eggs. Oh, um, I'm not sure when I'm going to Ecuador, but I think it's going to be at the end of this month, roughly. We'll see. Been talking to Dad about it, and I'm very excited to go down there. I will keep you posted on that. And when I'm down there, I'll probably do some streaming from Ecuador. Been brushing up on my Spanish. The crew we were working with in Texas, they all predominantly speak Spanish, so I know a little bit, un poquito, very small amount. We were unloading all those giant blocks of wood, and I was telling them mucho malera or malero, something like that, which is wood, lots of wood. Malera, malero. I think it's malero. All right, y'all. Much love. Hit that like, subscribe if you're into it, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. We're gonna do eight o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time again. All right. Calhoun out.